So, Joe, the national champions have made a decision with their head coach and giving him a massive extension in Ryan Day. It is not missed upon me that on November the 30th, after Michigan upset Ohio State yet again and beat him yet again, that a lot of people were calling for him to be fired. But then he goes on a 4-game winning streak in the playoffs to win a national championship. Joe, Ryan Day getting a pretty massive extension here. And listen, I think it's warranted. He's 70-10 in his career. He's 5-3 in playoffs. Outside the COVID year where he didn't play double-digit games, he's never had a season where he hasn't won 11 games. There's only one other coach that's currently in college football that can say that. That is Kirby Smart. This extension, to me, Joe, of a guy being 1-1 in national championships, averaging at minimum 11 wins a season in a regular year, this is more than warranted that Ryan Day has got this extension. And look, man, sometimes we need coaches to, learn and figure some things out. Ryan Day has done that, and the reigning national champion coach gets an extension.
The whole thing that's really funny to me about all this, so now he's the second highest paid coach. His buyout is enormous. So there's not going to really be, I think it's like in the 70s, there's not going to be any discussion for a while about him possibly getting fired. If there's like a total meltdown in the next couple of years, this extension is guaranteeing that they're giving him grace. And I don't think Ryan Day is the type of a coach to have a low floor. He's the type of coach that is, if things go wrong, they go 9-3. That would be worst case this upcoming year. And it's certainly possible with all that they're replacing. But what I find really funny about this, and this has less to do with just the natural public perception, but losing to Michigan was so significant. It was so significant to the degree that it was a motivator for them to go on to win the national championship and to play to their potential. What happens if they lose to him again this year? Because right now, that's the one thing that he hasn't accomplished. Where does that affect his legacy and how we talk about him as a coach? Justifiably, him winning a national championship is a make good for all of the losses. It really should be. And I know maybe Ohio State fans don't completely agree with that, but winning a national title is the end goal of all end goals. Beating Michigan is something that you want to do along the way. And if you don't do it now because the expanded playoff, you can still go on and win a national title, as it was proven this year. But I can't help but keep thinking about this, that he is one of the worst coaches at Ohio State going up against Michigan. And he's getting extended, and he's going to be here for a very long time, as he should be. How does this picture look if he still can't get past them? Because losing to them this year at home at their weakest in the last 5 years, when they're only going to start getting better and better, how do we perceive this? How do we look at this? Because the conversation was easy this year. I don't know how we're supposed to do it next year.
I know how I can look at it. Ohio State fans can have, and Michigan fans can have all of the difference of opinion because they're in it. They're fans of those teams. What's the realistic nature of this? The realistic nature of it is Joey's averaging over 12 wins a season.
Yeah.
Okay. He's averaging around 1.5 to 2 losses a season. Okay. I get it. You don't want to have
amazing accomplishments.
Amazing accomplishments.
But this is the absurdity of it. But continue what you're saying.
Me, as an outsider looking in, I would lose to Michigan every single year for the rest of my life if it meant multiple dynasty national championship runs. I don't care.
I don't know if Ohio State fans would agree.
I would lose. No, 1,000%. If losing to Alabama meant that I won a national title, if losing to Arkansas meant that I won a national title, by the way, it happened.
Yeah, but I just don't know. Wait. But I just those are big rivalries, and Alabama is definitely bigger. But it's not on the same level as Ohio State, Michigan.
No, there's one goal in the beginning of the season if you're Ohio State.
It's to win a national title.
F Michigan if you're Ohio State then. I get what you're saying. I understand the premise of a rivalry. If you ask the New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, you ask any organization around sports, you know what they don't care about? Let me tell you what they don't care about. They don't care about losing to Michigan. Now, or their rival, or whatever.
Okay.
I was trying to make the equivalent. I could give 2 Rudy Poos. There is one goal. Like, let me ask you this question. If you didn't, hold on, let me just ask and you respond. if the only loss that Notre Dame would have had this year would have been to USC, but you won a national title, would you have cared? If the roles are reversed, do you care that much?
I think you're missing what I'm saying here.
No,
Wait. What I'm saying, when I'm bringing this up, the reason why I'm bringing this up, it has nothing to do with me throwing out there like, oh, he's a failure if he can't beat Michigan. It's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that like that has to be higher priority over winning a national championship. It's not. I'm trying to point out the absurdity of this, that he has now legitimately confirmed that he is the second best coach in the sport. He is contractually and also accomplishment. He is the second best active coach in the sport at this current moment. Maybe Dabo goes ahead of him if he can get back into some playoff winning, in a playoff winning mode. I'm bringing this up to say that it's obscure. It's really obscure that he can't get past Michigan. Like in 20 years from now, when Ryan Day is retired, how are we going to be talking about him if this is his recognition of having won national titles, but losing to Michigan as much as he did? It just feels weird. That's what I'm bringing up here.
I wouldn't care. He's 2-4 against Michigan. Okay, 2-4. And I understand that you're losing to a team that ultimately you just do not want to lose to. But here's also a truth. You went on a run that nobody in college football has ever done. Like Ohio State fans that will watch this, put it in the comments. If you're watching a clip, you're watching it live right now. What would you rather? And let me just tell you this. If you would rather beat Michigan and lose a national championship or not get to a national championship, I'm sorry. I love the Ohio State people. They've been really receptive of us. Then you're an idiot, because there is one goal that you have in this.
I get that.
Here's the truth about Ryan Day's legacy that's being built. What is Kirby's biggest problem? The number one guy that we have on the pedestal can't beat Bama.
But
he just cannot. No,
they're not head-to-head rivals like that. It was Nick Saban and Kirby that were more so head-to-head rivals.
Every one of these coaches had these vices. What was Nick's? Just throwing this out there. Nick was about 500 against Gus Malzahn for a long time. The rivalry before that, he was 500 against Les Miles. These things continued. They keep losing to their rival. But we don't talk about Saban in the sense of, oh, shit, they lost to Auburn. Oh, shit, they lost to LSU again. Because he kept going to national titles and winning them. So what's the difference? Like, what is it? And you can't say that the Alabama-Auburn game is not just as big. In the South, the Iron Bowl is just as big.
No, it is. I'm not trying to say that, like, suddenly that is more important than winning a national championship. But it's so strange to me that, like, we're sitting here and I was trying to paint this picture of, like, we're sitting here and we're talking about and we're praising Ryan Day. That would have been the simple angle if we jumped in this segment and we go, oh, Ryan Day deserved the contract, he won a national title. This is one of the rare coaching because it's more rare than the examples you just provided. Yes, Nick Saban did have some issues against some of his rivals. Yes, Kirby has had issues against some of his rivals and has not been able to consistently beat them. But now that Jim Harbaugh is gone, the expectation this past year was supposed to be boat race them. And he lost to Sharon Moore in his first year with no quarterback, without some of their most dangerous players that are going to go on to be premier all-pro NFL guys that they were without, and they still lost to them. It just feels really odd to me that there was such a quick shift. There was such a quick shift between us saying that he didn't fit to now he deserves the contract.
Well, first off,
No. I know. I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that the national narrative was, and I even acknowledge
narrative around Ryan Day from the beginning when he took the podium as the next head coach taking over for Urban Meyer was unrealistic. So it was vastly.
What happens when you take over a national championship winning team?
Well, if we're just being honest, you're tied for second in national championships behind Alabama with LSU. What's the perception and the reality of the entire situation? I do think that Ohio State fans, and boy, I'm going to catch hell for this one, the overreaction to him is like, brother, he's been in 2 national title games in 4 years. 2. So half of the time he's getting to a national title. He's 1-1 in those situations. So, Joe, if I told you, let's take the labels and names off a coach because I have this name written down.
Okay.
What if I told you that there was a coach out there that got the 2 national titles? I'm not going to tell you if they won them or lost them, but they got the 2 national titles. They're winning 92+% of all of their games. Who would you think that I'm talking about? Now, the realistic nature could be I'm talking about Kirby or I'm talking about Ryan Day. So the nature of the beast here is I think that we put narratives on some of these coaches. The extension, brother, if you told me that the floor was 11 wins, nobody else can say that, by the way. Nobody. Nobody's out here saying as a head coach that my floor is 11 wins. No one. So that's the part where I get at that when I look at Ryan Day, you're right. You said he might be the second best head coach. I don't know if I'd put him there yet because, look, Dabo, he's got to 6 playoffs in 8 years.
We're talking about, like, current moment.
If it's current moment, then yes. Okay? But there comes a part where he's 70-10. He's 5-3 in playoff games. He's 1-1 in national championships. He's been there since 2019. I'm not giving him – I'm not bashing him on a loss to an Alabama team during COVID. I think that he has been – for what it's worth, and I remember we talked about this a little bit too. The article with his wife, name a coach that's under more pressure. Joe, they're talking about death threats. They're talking about they pull their kids out of school. Like this is insanity for what this man goes through. And look, I think he's one of the best in the sport. I think that this extension solidifies what he has actually been.
This is part of why I'm bringing this conversation up. Because the clear framing that you just brought up there is the current truth. What I was bringing up is not my belief. It's not my belief that, like, he can't get past Michigan. It's a problem. Not my belief. I'm mainly pointing out that that's part of the conversation. The way that you framed it is the correct way. There is immense pressure. Most coaches would have crumbled under this pressure. And to a degree, he did kind of collapse into the pressure a little bit this past year by letting it get to him so much that their preparation against Michigan was just a total S show, was completely out of any realm of how they should have approached that game. Completely overthought it, as we talked about on this podcast. The way that he is and who he has become as a coach, he deserves to now be in that conversation as one of the best active coaches. He deserved this contract. He deserves to, going forward, to be given a large, just a massive amount of grace for any failures or any underperformances in the future. You win a national title at your school and you have that many wins that you just mentioned, you deserve to sit where you are and to accumulate, the amount of years worth of buyout money that you have built up. He is one of the best coaches in Ohio State history for what he has accomplished. And what's also being missed that we haven't even mentioned, he's going to go on and win another national title at Ohio State. I truly believe that he will. Once you get past the first one, you know what it takes to build that program and that team up to put them in a position to win a title. And the recruiting is already there. But again, just it just feels very odd. It just feels really freaking weird that this is where we are. We're talking about a coach who has one team that he can't beat.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there.
Okay.
Then if he wins another one, then he's better than Tressel. He's better than Urban. And he's better than some of these others that they've had there.
Yes, he immediately leaps up to the top. Woody Hayes, I think, is the only coach to win multiple.
Yeah, I mean, look, I you know how I am. If you didn't play for it, I'm not counting it. Sorry.
Oh, come on. Woody Hayes was a legend, though. So, like, he's still
a legend built by the media in the sense of that you could lose a game and then there could be a team out there that also lost a game.
Let's not do that bit. Would you agree that Woody Hayes was the greatest Ohio State coach? So that is now who he enters the debate with, and he had five national championships.
But I'm just going to throw this out there now. I would legitimately put him above championship or not. I'm not counting championships. It's a different age, different era. I think Ryan just gets a little – look, the Skip Holtz thing or the Lou Holtz thing, all this kind of stuff reminisces. And when you're losing and you lose in some of these big spots, it takes a little bit of a toll. Right now, you're going to have to knock them off. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to say on this. When you win a national title, two things can happen now. Number one, either you keep going on with that stride and you get – it's like the wolf that gets the first taste of blood. You keep wanting to go back, and you'll do everything to get it. Or you take a big sigh of relief. Which one's it going to be? It's never an extreme. It's always one extreme to another with these coaches, man. It's not normally based in the middle. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, to answer that question that I brought up, Woody Hayes is 5, Ryan Day is 1, Urban Meyer is 1, Jim Tressel is 1, and Paul Brown is 1. So there is, if he would win a second national title, and Ryan Day is on the younger side of head coaches, he would end up going on to being the second best. Now, to win 5, we can have that separate debate of like how he would need to pass Woody.
Hot take.
Okay.
He did it in the era where Urban and Tressel couldn't.
I think that well, no. Well, what do you mean couldn't? They each won a national title.
Yeah, but neither had the portal, neither had NIL. I mean, they were one of the teams that were in the forefront of going out there and spending the money. By the way, did you see the article? $8.5 million deficit was football this year.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. They're going to make that up quick. So right. That part doesn't matter to them. But I'm going to give you a hot take. I think that they're more consistent than Urban's teams. I think Ryan Day has been more consistent because if you think of Urban – I know this is going to go – people are going to get mad at this. My man was losing to Purdue and getting blanked.
That's true. That bad loss to Ohio State.
My dude would go into the playoffs. Remember when they played Clemson in the playoffs and they got blanked? I mean, like, listen now. I mean, people ain't going to like that, but go look at it and see. I mean,
he was also only there for 4 years. Like, he wasn't there for particularly long.
No, he was there for like 6 years. Right?
2012 to 2018. Oh no, sorry, that's 6. Still, but that's not Ryan Day. Ryan Day has already been there. My ability to count is
that's that New Jersey math right there.
All right. Hey. Ryan Day's been there the same amount of time as Urban, though. So I would agree with that. I mean, there's been a lot more consistency, but the difference is that Urban took it over when the program was in shambles. Yeah, right. They rebuilt a little bit, and then he hands it off to Ryan Day.
Well, they got banned. Remember, they were undefeated that year, in that year one where he could have gone to the national title. That